Have you ever wondered why, no matter how many times you promise yourself change, you still find yourself falling into the same old routines again and again? Why do we repeat mistakes even when our heart whispers for something better? It feels like a cycle that doesn't let us breathe free, doesn't it? Think about it. Have you noticed how sometimes we lose our temper at the same situations, make the same poor decisions, or even carry the same worries to bed every night? It's like walking the same path in circles, watching the footprints of yesterday with no real step forward. Let's take a simple example. Someone who decides not to check their phone before bed, yet night after night the habit pulls them back. Sounds familiar? This cycle of repeating patterns is not just a struggle of the modern world. It's something humanity has faced for centuries. And here, Buddhism offers us timeless wisdom on how to finally break free from the loops that trap our peace. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, a space created to share insights that touch your soul and help shape your journey. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.3% subscribes. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue weaving wisdom into words for you. Now, let's begin gently exploring. According to Buddhist teachings, life is often guided by patterns, habits shaped by our desires, fears, and unawareness. These are not just external actions, but deep mental grooves that drive how we think, feel, and react. Every time we give in to anger, craving, or doubt, the groove grows deeper, and the cycle repeats. Buddhism describes this cycle as samsara, the endless wandering. But within that understanding, there also lies a doorway to liberation. When Buddha spoke about suffering, he was not pointing at life as misery, but at the patterns that cause it. The small acts of holding on, the small chains of craving, are what build the large wall we call unhappiness. Imagine your mind as a garden. If the same weeds are not pulled out, they return again and again, no matter how many times you admire the flowers. In the same way, unless we gently yet firmly uproot the habit patterns of the mind, we will see the same results: frustration, regret, and pain. Buddhism invites us to pause, to see, to understand. That simple pause creates the very first space where change can happen. And it doesn't matter if you slipped yesterday or even today. The moment you see clearly is the moment the chain begins to loosen. This is not about being perfect. It is about waking up again and again to the truth that freedom is possible. The journey of breaking bad patterns is not about force, but awareness. It's about stepping out of automatic living and slowly building a relationship with life that is conscious, compassionate, and free. And in this journey, you are not alone. Every step you take toward awareness is connected to the ancient wisdom shared by Buddha, still alive, still guiding us to this day. We are about to unfold these lessons together, and the path ahead may turn out to be more freeing than you imagine. Would you like me to now create part 2 in the same warm and flowing tone? In the quiet moments of dawn, when the world is still wrapped in a gentle hush, the mind reveals its nature. It is here, in this stillness, that one begins to recognize the invisible patterns that weave through our daily lives like silent threads. These threads, though subtle, form the fabric of our experience. They guide our thoughts, shape our reactions, and even color our dreams. This fabric is what we call the patterns of the mind, a tapestry of habits born from countless moments of repeated action. Often, we live our days as if walking through fog, unaware of the steps that have been imprinted deep within us. These steps are not always purposeful. Sometimes they are reactions, old habits that arise before we even realize. Like the river that flows in a familiar channel, our minds tend to follow the grooves carved by past experiences. This is natural, for the mind seeks ease and familiarity. Yet, this ease can trap us in cycles that bring no peace. The patterns in our minds are shaped by desire and aversion, by what Buddha called craving and clinging. When we want something, be it love, success, or comfort, we chase after it avidly. When we encounter pain or discomfort, we resist fiercely. This push and pull create waves inside us. Each wave leaves its mark, adding weight to the currents that guide our future moments. Thus, without conscious awareness, we find ourselves swept along by invisible forces, reenacting the same dramas and suffering. Imagine a pond after the wind blows. The surface becomes restless, ripples moving outward in all directions. Similarly, the mind's patterns send ripples through our consciousness. A harsh word, a bitter thought, a fear. Each creates waves that disturb our calm. Our reactions to these waves often deepen the unrest. We say harsh words in return, feed the bitter thoughts, or surrender to the fears. The pond's surface becomes turbulent, and peace seems far away. Yet, the nature of the mind is not fixed. Like water, it can be calm and clear when undisturbed. Buddhism teaches us that by bringing mindful attention to these patterns, we can begin to understand them deeply. This understanding is not intellectual alone, but a heartfelt seeing. When you watch the surface of the pond with quiet eyes, you start to notice the rhythm of the ripples, where they come from, and how they fade away. You begin to see that the turbulence is temporary. This awareness allows a new space to arise between stimulus and response. In the ordinary flow of life, this space is often missing. We react immediately, almost unconsciously. But with practice, one can cultivate this pause, this precious moment where choice becomes possible. The pause is the seed of freedom. Freedom from being driven by old patterns and the chance to respond with clarity and kindness. Breaking bad patterns does not happen by fighting against them with force, but by gently turning the light of awareness upon them. Imagine walking through a dark forest where dangers lurk unseen. To move safely, you need a lamp. Mindfulness is this lamp, revealing the roots and stones beneath your feet so you can choose your steps wisely. It is not about banishing the shadows, but learning to walk in their presence without fear or confusion. As the lamp of mindfulness grows stronger, we begin to see the subtle habits of the mind. Not just the obvious actions, but the quiet intentions behind them. There might be a habit of impatience hiding in the way you listen, or a thread of self-doubt woven into your thoughts. These are the patterns that direct our experience like hidden puppeteers. Recognizing them allows us to gently loosen their hold. Buddhism offers practical tools for this work, and among the most precious is the practice of loving kindness, or metta. When you meet your patterns not with judgment, but with kindness, transformation becomes possible. The mind softens, defenses lower, and space opens for change naturally. You learn to be a friend to your own struggles, holding them tenderly rather than pushing them away with harshness. This kindness extends beyond the self. When you see your own patterns clearly, you start to recognize the similar struggles in others. Compassion grows, dissolving the barriers of isolation and loneliness. The cycle of repeating pain begins to unravel, not just for you, but for those you touch with your presence and care. The journey through mind's patterns is like walking along a riverbank. Sometimes the current is strong, and you may stumble. Other times, the water is calm, reflecting the sky's vast openness. Both states are part of the path. Accepting this with gentle patience is itself a break from the old habit of resisting discomfort. When you encounter old fears or anger rising, instead of running or reacting, you learn to breathe with them. to feel their presence without being consumed. This practice, simple yet profound, shifts the cycle. The wave no longer carries you away. You become the silent observer, the steady ground beneath the storm. In this way, breaking the bad patterns is not about fighting an enemy outside, but about befriending the inner world. The Zen Master teaches that the obstacle and the path are not separate. What we once saw as our chains become the very keys to unlock the door. Every moment of awareness is like a gentle hand opening a latch. As awareness deepens, you may notice something beautiful. Patterns begin to change naturally. The mind chooses peace more often. Responses grow wise instead of reactive. Life's challenges are met with a calm heart. This is the flower that blooms when the cycle of repetition is softened by mindfulness and compassion. Remember, this is a journey, not a race. Each moment you choose awareness, you bend the course of habit just a little. Over time, these small shifts weave into a new pattern, a pattern of freedom, kindness, and clarity. The ancient wisdom of Buddhism is not distant or complex. It is found exactly here, in the turning of your own gentle gaze inward. So, in your daily life, invite this practice. When you notice a pattern rising, do not push it away. Let curiosity meet it. Watch it as you would watch a leaf floating on a stream. See it clearly, without adding story or judgment. This simple step is the beginning of breaking old patterns and creating space for a new way of being. The mind is powerful, but it is not unchangeable. The grace you seek is already within you. Each breath, each moment of presence, is a thread weaving into the fabric of transformation. With patience and tenderness, the old patterns slowly unravel, and the heart learns to dance freely once again in the light of awakening. Patterns of craving and clinging are at the heart of many struggles we face. When the mind desires something, it lights a fire inside that burns until it gets what it wants. Yet, this fire often leaves us restless, and when denied, it turns to frustration or sadness. This wanting or craving is the mind reaching out for happiness, but it clings tightly to things that can never fully satisfy. In Buddhism, understanding these roots is essential to breaking the cycle of suffering. Imagine holding on to a beautiful flower, afraid to let it go. You squeeze it tightly, wanting it to last forever. But in the process, the petals begin to bruise and wither. Craving is much like this holding, intense and unyielding. We cling to people, possessions, or ideas because they seem to promise security or joy. But the truth is, everything changes. The flower wilts, people grow apart, possessions lose their shine. Our attachment creates an endless cycle of grasping and losing, of hope followed by disappointment. Even more subtle than craving is clinging, the mind's refusal to let go of what it desires or fears. Clinging can appear as stubborn thoughts that refuse to change, habits that pull us back into old emotional patterns, or the stories we tell ourselves that lock us into suffering. This clinging wraps tightly around the heart, making it hard to breathe freely or see clearly. The stronger the clinging, the heavier the burden on the spirit. Our minds crave comfort and avoid discomfort. Yet when discomfort arises, it often signals a change is needed. Instead of noticing this, the mind clings more tightly, trying to protect itself from pain by holding even more firmly to familiar patterns. This cycle strengthens itself, making the groove of repetition deeper and more difficult to escape. Buddhism teaches that craving and clinging are the seeds of suffering, but recognizing them is the first step toward freedom. When we see the fire for what it is, an intense but temporary sensation, we can begin to loosen our grip. This doesn't mean suppressing desires, or pretending they aren't there. It means understanding them with gentle clarity, like watching a passing cloud without letting it cover the whole sky. When cravings arise, we might practice observing them without judgment. Like watching waves rolling to the shore, they appear, rise, and fall away. Some waves are strong, others gentle, but all are temporary. Through this practice, the mind learns that it does not have to be carried away by every craving or fear. The heart learns patience and grace. It is important to realize that craving itself is not wrong. It is a natural part of being human. However, suffering begins when craving turns into clinging, when the mind refuses to accept the impermanence of what it desires. This clinging binds us to patterns that repeat pain and restlessness. Buddha's teaching encourages us to walk this path with kindness toward ourselves. We are not meant to be harsh judges of our cravings or failings, but gentle observers with courage to face what is true. When we do, even the strongest attachments can begin to soften. Along this path, mindfulness is a faithful companion. Mindfulness allows us to recognize when craving arises and offers a choice: to follow the craving blindly or to pause and see it clearly. This moment of pause is transformative. It is like catching a spark before it becomes a flame, giving us the chance to act skillfully rather than reactively. As we practice, the mind develops a different relationship with desire. Instead of being pulled by every longing, it learns to lean toward balance. We may want things, but we are not overwhelmed by them. The heart becomes lighter and freer. Craving can often be linked to deeper fears: the fear of loss, loneliness, or not being enough. These fears drive us to hold on tightly, afraid that if we loosen our grip, we will be abandoned or empty. But Buddhism reminds us that clinging cannot truly protect us. In fact, letting go opens space for genuine peace and connection. Imagine reaching out with open hands rather than clenched fists. This openness does not mean giving up or becoming passive. Instead, it is a courageous act of trusting life's flow, accepting change, and embracing incompleteness without despair. By gently turning our attention inward, we also begin to recognize patterns of craving that arise not only from wanting, but from past wounds and unmet needs. Sometimes, craving disguises itself as anger, jealousy, or sorrow. These emotions signal that something deeper yearns to be healed. When we acknowledge these feelings without running away, we give ourselves a chance to meet the root of our suffering. The Zen Master teaches that every emotion is a doorway, a chance to step deeper into understanding and compassion. This turning inward requires patience. Progress may not be linear. Some days the patterns feel powerful, pulling hard. Other days, the grip loosens, and we experience moments of freedom. Each moment is a teacher if we have the willingness to learn. The practice of loving kindness nourishes the heart in this process. By extending love to ourselves and our struggles, we begin to dissolve the barriers built by fear and craving. When love replaces judgment, the chains of clinging begin to fall away. Buddhism shows us that freeing ourselves from craving and clinging is not about denying the beauty or joy of life. Rather, it is about embracing life fully, with clear eyes and open heart, able to hold joy without grasping and face loss without despair. As the layers of craving lift, the mind feels less scattered and more alive. Patterns of restlessness calm, and space opens for peace and clarity. This is the gentle awakening Buddhism offers, a soft unraveling of old habits, revealing the true nature of the heart. The path is walked moment by moment, breath by breath. Each time craving arises, we can greet it with curiosity instead of fear, with kindness instead of resistance. This is the skillful way of breaking the chains that bind us. Such practice invites a profound transformation, not just in how we act, but in how we see ourselves and the world. We come to realize that freedom is always present, waiting beneath the layers of craving and clinging. In this unfolding, life becomes a dance of presence and letting go, strength and softness. The heart learns to move freely, no longer bound by patterns, but flowing naturally with the rhythm of awakening. Slowly, the heavy cloak of craving is shed, and a lighter garment of peace and freedom takes its place. This is the gift of understanding the roots of our patterns and choosing a different way to live. The Zen Master reminds us that this is not a distant goal, but a present possibility. Even now, as you read these words, the chance to pause, see, and begin to loosen the chains is here. Embrace the journey with an open heart. Every small step away from craving and clinging leads closer to the silence where true freedom lives. And from that silence, a radiant life blooms beyond patterns, beyond pain. This is the heart of the teaching. This is the path of transformation. This is the way to break the cycle and walk freely into the light of awakening. In the teachings of the Buddha, samsara is described as the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, a journey marked by patterns that weave suffering through countless lifetimes. But samsara is not just a distant cosmic concept. It is the story of our daily lives, the repetitive loops we find ourselves walking over and over again. Every pattern of thought, every emotional reaction, every habit that does not bring freedom is a part of this wheel turning, binding us to suffering. Imagine a great wheel turning ceaselessly, carrying all beings on its rim. Each turn is a repetition of causes and effects. The seeds planted in the past sprout into the present experience, and what we plant now ripens into the future. This wheel does not pause for anyone. We find ourselves caught in its motion, often unaware of the chains that tie us to repeating old stories, mistakes, and pain. The Buddha's teaching on samsara reveals that these patterns are driven by ignorance, an unawareness of the true nature of reality. We see things as permanent when all is ever-changing. We see the self as separate and fixed when all is interconnected and fluid. This misunderstanding fuels craving and aversion, which spin the wheel faster, keeping us trapped in patterns that cause suffering. In daily life, samsara is alive in our habits. When we snap at a loved one from frustration, when jealousy creeps into our thoughts, or when anxiety circles endlessly in our minds, we are experiencing samsara's turning. These behaviors are not isolated incidents. They are connected threads woven by our past conditioning. The patterns repeat because we hold on to views and feelings without fully seeing their nature. But the wisdom of Buddhism teaches that samsara, although powerful, is not endless without hope. Through deep insight and practice, it is possible to step off the wheel. This stepping off is not about escaping life, but engaging with it fully, with clear eyes and an open heart. It is a delicate process that calls for patience, courage, and kindness toward oneself. The first step to breaking samsara's cycle is profound awareness, a seeing that is neither judgmental nor fearful, but open and curious. This awareness looks deeply into the patterns that drive our actions. It questions what lies beneath the surface of anger, greed, or sadness. What fuels these states? What beliefs support them? Understanding these questions is the start of liberation. With awareness, the mind begins to loosen its grip on fixed stories. It starts to see the impermanent, arising and passing nature of thoughts and feelings. Instead of falling into the groove of habitual reaction, it pauses. In that pause, a choice arises, a chance to respond with wisdom rather than reactivity. The Buddha compared life's suffering to a flame burning on a wick. The fire continues only as long as there is fuel to feed it. In samsara, craving and ignorance are the fuel. When fuel is removed, even a spark, the fire cannot persist. This metaphor shows the power we have when we recognize and let go of the roots of our suffering. This process of awakening is like stepping out of darkness into light, not all at once, but moment by moment. Just as dawn slowly brightens the sky, our understanding and freedom grow gradually. Each moment of mindfulness is another step away from the spinning wheel, another chance to live in stillness amidst the motion. It is important to remember that walking this path is not about striving for perfection or fighting against life. Samsara itself contains the possibility of awakening. The emotions and patterns that cause suffering become the very teachers that guide us home. The Zen Master shows that the obstacle and the path are one. When you feel frustration rising or sadness deepening, these are invitations to look closer, to meet what is there with gentle presence. By facing the patterns directly, without turning away or reacting, the cycle begins to unwind naturally. The wheel slows and eventually comes to rest. In practical terms, this unfolding of freedom can be supported by meditation and daily mindfulness. Meditation is not an escape, but a meeting place, where the restless mind learns to be still and where the heart learns to be open. Mindfulness in daily life is the light shining on patterns as they arise, allowing us to see choices clearly. The beauty of this teaching is that it embraces the fullness of life. Samsara is not rejected but understood deeply. Joy and sorrow, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, all are part of the dance. The difference is we no longer run blindly through this dance, but move with awareness, grace, and freedom. As the wheel of samsara continues to turn outside, within you a stillness grows. This stillness is not separate from life, but its truest essence. It is the space where old patterns lose their power and new ways of being emerge. The Zen Master reminds us that this stillness is always present, waiting beneath the surface of our busyness and distraction. The path to breaking samsara's cycle is a lifelong journey of kindness and patience. Each day offers moments to practice seeing clearly and choosing freely. Sometimes the wheel spins fast, and sometimes it slows. Each time you return to awareness, you step closer to liberation. In the quiet moments when you breathe deeply and watch your thoughts and feelings, you join countless seekers who have stood where you stand now. The path is not lonely, but shared with all beings longing to be free. With each step, the cycle of samsara gently unravels, revealing a life touched by peace, wisdom, and love. This is the heart of the teaching, the gift that the Buddha offers to every being, a way out of repetition and into the light of awakening. The Zen Master encourages embracing this journey with an open heart, trusting that freedom is always possible, here and now. In the practice of breaking free from old patterns, mindfulness is the gentle, steady light that guides every step. It is the simple act of paying attention. Notice what is happening inside and around you without getting lost in judgment or distraction. This light of mindfulness shines on the habits that usually operate in the background, revealing how we often act on autopilot. Through this seeing, the mind begins to awaken from its habit-driven sleep. Mindfulness is not complicated, nor does it require special skills. It is available to everyone, right now, in every breath. When you pause to notice your breath, your body, or your thoughts, you create a space, a quiet moment of awareness where the usual rushing and reacting soften. In this space, the grip of old patterns loosens just a little. Every moment of mindful presence is an invitation to step out of unconscious repetition and into conscious living. Imagine driving a car on a familiar route without really paying attention. Suddenly, you arrive at your destination, unsure of the journey you just took because it happened almost like a dream. This is how the mind acts when patterns go unnoticed. Mindfulness is like turning on the headlights during that drive, illuminating the road so you can navigate with care and presence. The Buddha taught the practice of mindfulness as a way to be aware of what is happening here and now. This means paying attention not only to pleasant moments, but also to discomfort, irritation, fear, or sadness, the parts of life we often want to avoid. When we bring gentle curiosity to all experiences, we stop running away from the difficult and start learning from it. This learning is the beginning of transformation. With regular mindfulness, you begin to notice how old patterns arise. For example, you may sense tension building in your shoulders when stress approaches, or observe a rush of anger before words escape your lips. Before, these reactions might have happened without awareness, but now there is a pause. In that pause lies choice. The choice to act skillfully, to respond with kindness, or simply to breathe and let the feeling pass. Mindfulness also teaches us to watch thoughts without getting caught in their stories. Thoughts can be like clouds floating across the sky of the mind, sometimes dark and stormy, sometimes light and playful. When you watch without clinging or pushing away, the clouds move on, and the sky remains clear. This insight helps break the cycles where thoughts spiral into worries, regrets, or fears that trap the mind in confusion. Another beautiful aspect of mindfulness is its invitation to accept what is. Acceptance does not mean resignation or giving up on change. Rather, it means recognizing life as it is in this moment, without labeling it as good or bad. This acceptance brings peace because it stops the fighting between what is and what we wish were different. When you practice mindfulness with acceptance, even difficult emotions like sadness or anger lose their sharp edges. They become waves that roll through your experience, but no longer knock you off balance. The patterns tied to reactivity gradually soften as you learn to meet each moment with calm and openness. The Zen Master gently reminds us that mindfulness need not be confined to formal meditation. It can be woven into every part of life. In walking, eating, washing dishes, or listening to a friend. Each of these moments can become a sacred practice of presence. As you bring mindfulness to daily life, the grip of automatic patterns relaxes more and more. Through mindfulness, you develop what is called a beginner's mind, a fresh and open perspective that looks at each moment as if for the first time. This attitude prevents the mind from falling back into fixed views and habits. It invites wonder, curiosity, and joy into life, dissolving the dullness of routine. The practice also nurtures kindness, especially toward yourself. Often, we are hardest on ourselves when patterns repeat and change seems slow. Mindfulness invites you to pause, take a breath, and offer compassion for your struggles. This kindness fuels the courage to keep going, even when the old habits feel strong. As mindfulness deepens, it reveals the deep interconnection between all aspects of life. You begin to see how your patterns are linked to the patterns of others, and how compassion arises naturally from this connection. The awakening mind does not see itself as separate, but as part of a larger whole. With time, as mindfulness becomes natural, the heart and mind find balance. The restless cravings and resistances wane, and a deep calm settles in. This calm is not numbness, but a vibrant presence that allows life to flow freely. Importantly, mindfulness is a path without haste. Progress happens moment by moment, breath by breath. Sometimes the mind is clear and steady, sometimes clouded and distracted. Each return to awareness is a gift, each step forward a gentle victory. This practice of mindful living is one of the most powerful ways to break bad patterns because it creates the foundation for lasting change. Rather than trying to push away or force new habits, mindfulness invites the heart to understand patterns deeply and respond with wisdom and grace. The Zen Master teaches that mindfulness is like water. It adapts, flows, and nourishes. It softens the hardest places in the mind and opens the way for freedom. With mindful attention, the cycle of endless repetition gently unwinds and life blossoms anew. Every breath, every moment of presence is a step toward peace. This is the gift of mindfulness, the simple, profound light that shines in the darkness, guiding us home to ourselves. Within the quiet space of mindful awareness, a deeper understanding begins to arise. The understanding of cause and effect. The Buddha called this principle dependent origination, a profound teaching that shows how everything in life is interconnected and arises because of conditions coming together. Nothing exists alone or permanently. Every experience, emotion, and thought is part of a continuous flow shaped by what came before and leading to what will come next. Imagine a beautiful garden. For a flower to bloom, there must be seeds sown, water, sunlight, and nourishing soil. If one condition is missing, the flower cannot grow. Just as the flower depends on many factors, our experiences depend on countless causes and conditions working together. This is the way the world works, a vast web of cause and effect where everything influences everything else. In the patterns of the mind, this means every thought, feeling, and action is not random but connected. When we react with anger, it is often caused by previous moments of pain or fear. When we experience joy, it arises from kindness and openness. Recognizing this helps us see that our choices matter deeply. They shape the future just as the past shapes the present. This understanding of cause and effect is powerful because it reveals we are not helpless victims of habit or circumstance. Although patterns can feel strong, they are always changing because their causes and conditions are fluid. When we bring awareness to what causes our patterns, we open the possibility to change those causes and gently shift the conditions that support them. Imagine walking through the garden of your life and noticing not only the flowers, but also the weeds. The weeds represent harmful patterns, destructive thoughts, emotions, or behaviors that grow when nourished by unskillful causes. But the beauty is that you hold the power to care for your garden differently. You can water the flowers with kindness, pull out the weeds with patience, and plant seeds of wholesome habits. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when the causes are unskillful, rooted in ignorance, craving, and aversion. But it also teaches that when skillful causes arise, such as understanding, kindness, and mindfulness, suffering lessens and freedom grows. This is why the path of awakening focuses on cultivating causes that lead to peace and happiness rather than harm. With this deep understanding, every moment becomes a choice, an opportunity to plant seeds of freedom. When you feel the urge to react in anger, you can remember the causes that brought this fire. Instead of fueling it, you might choose to breathe, to respond with calm. This simple act begins to rewrite the story of cause and effect. It is important to realize that changing causes does not mean ignoring reality or pretending difficulties do not exist. Instead, it invites a wiser way of meeting life, one that acknowledges pain but does not add suffering to it through harmful reactions. Each skillful choice weakens the old patterns that have chained the mind and heart. The Zen Master teaches that understanding cause and effect goes hand in hand with patience. Change does not happen instantly. Just as a flower takes time to bloom after the seed is planted, changing old patterns unfolds gradually. This patience is a form of kindness toward oneself, a gentle acceptance of the pace of transformation. In daily life, practicing awareness of cause and effect means observing carefully what brings peace or disturbance. It is noticing how certain thoughts lead to restlessness while others bring calm. It is seeing how kindness can dissolve anger and how impatience often deepens frustration. This clear seeing builds wisdom, the light that guides us through the maze of patterns. This wisdom is not distant or complicated. It is simple and practical, shining wherever attention rests. You might notice it in moments as small as choosing to smile when irritation rises, or pausing before speaking when criticism bubbles up. These moments, though seemingly ordinary, are the turning points where the cycle of cause and effect shifts toward freedom. As the understanding of cause and effect deepens, a natural sense of responsibility arises. Not a heavy burden, but a gentle awareness that our actions matter. This awareness fosters compassion, as we begin to see how our choices affect not only ourselves, but also those around us. Compassion and wisdom together form a powerful force that breaks the chains of harmful patterns. When we choose kindness as a cause, it ripples outward, touching the hearts of others and creating conditions for greater peace in the world. The Zen Master reminds us that this path is one of both courage and gentleness. Courage to face the causes of suffering honestly, and gentleness to care for oneself and others tenderly. With each mindful choice, the grip of old patterns loosens, and a new way of being grows. This teaching invites us into deep trust that transformation is always possible because cause and effect flow like a river, forever changing, never stagnant. Even when the wheel of old patterns seems powerful, the stream of new causes can reshape the landscape of the mind. You are the gardener of your own heart and mind. What seeds will you plant today? What causes will you nourish? With mindfulness, patience, and compassion, you have the tools to gently turn the wheel toward awakening. As this understanding takes root, it changes how you see life itself. No longer a series of random events or cruel fate. Life becomes a graceful dance of causes and effects where freedom is born in each mindful step. In this dance, every breath is a chance to awaken, every choice a chance to heal. With warm heart and steady mind, the Zen Master invites you to walk this path with humility and courage, knowing that the power to change your patterns lies always within you. And so, the story continues. A story of unfolding clarity, of breaking free from what no longer serves, and of stepping into the light of wisdom and peace that flows naturally when cause and effect are seen with open eyes and gentle heart. Within the unfolding path of transformation, the patterns of emotion often become the most visible and challenging terrain. These emotional loops can seem like stormy seas, pulling us into repetition that feels endless and exhausting. Yet, within these very waves lies the opportunity for deep healing and liberation. The Zen Master gently invites us to lean into our emotions, to understand their nature, and to find the still center beneath the storm. Emotional loops are strong patterns where certain feelings, such as anger, sadness, jealousy, or fear, repeat themselves again and again in our minds and hearts. It might begin with a hurtful word or a difficult memory, and soon the mind replays the story endlessly, stirred by the same waves of pain or resentment. This repetition deepens the suffering because the emotions are fed by old stories and beliefs that resist change. Imagine being caught in a whirlpool. No matter how much you struggle, the current pulls you around the same circle. It's exhausting and frightening. Emotional loops are much like this whirlpool. Once caught, it can feel impossible to escape. Yet, the first step is not to fight the waves, but to acknowledge their presence with kindness. To confess to oneself quietly, "I am feeling this pain again." This honest recognition is the doorway to freedom. The Zen Master teaches that emotions are not enemies to be defeated, but messengers to be heard. They carry deep messages about our needs, wounds, and desires. When we rush to push away or deny emotions, they often grow stronger beneath the surface, like volcanic pressure building quietly. Instead, when we meet emotions with open-hearted awareness, their energy can shift and soften. One helpful practice is to observe emotions as if watching clouds passing in the sky. The clouds may be dark or light, slow or fast-moving, but none stay forever. When you watch feelings with gentle curiosity, instead of becoming tangled in their stories, they begin to lose their power to control. This mindful witnessing creates a space where transformation can happen. It is important to understand that breaking emotional loops is not about suppressing or avoiding feelings, but about inviting them into awareness without judgment. For example, when anger arises, we might first feel the urge to lash out or push it away. Instead, the Zen Master suggests taking a breath and simply noticing the anger's presence, the heat, the tension, the restlessness, without acting on impulse. As you hold the emotion in awareness, questions may arise. What triggered this feeling? What is it asking for? Often, anger covers deeper wounds like hurt or fear. When we are patient enough to uncover this, healing begins. The cycle of reactivity softens as the heart embraces the full truth with kindness. This process also includes recognizing how past experiences shape current emotions. Sometimes, emotional loops are echoes of old pain stored in the body and mind. The Zen Master reminds us that these echoes need not define our present. With careful attention and compassion, even the deepest patterns can be gently unraveled. Another key to breaking emotional loops is learning to respond rather than react. Reaction is the immediate, automatic outburst, often fueled by habit. Response is a conscious choice, born from clarity and calm. Mindfulness and patience create the space needed to choose response over reaction. Through meditation and daily mindfulness, we cultivate this skill. Moments of calm become anchors that steady the mind and heart when storms arise. The practice does not remove emotions, but changes our relationship to them, allowing us to experience feelings fully without being swept away. The Zen Master also emphasizes that compassion, both for oneself and others, is essential in this journey. It is common to judge ourselves harshly for emotional struggles. This judgment only tightens the chains of the loop. Instead, offering oneself forgiveness and understanding opens healing pathways. Compassion extends outward as well. When we recognize our own emotional struggles, we become more tender toward the difficulties in others. This shared humanity dissolves isolation and builds connection, further loosening the grip of suffering. It is natural for emotional loops to arise. They are part of being human. The path is not to eliminate emotions, but to transform how they shape our lives. Over time, with consistent practice, the waves no longer control the boat. The heart learns to ride the sea with balance and ease. Breaking emotional loops is not a quick fix, but a journey of patience and love. Setbacks may come, but each moment of mindful attention moves the tide a little more. The Zen Master encourages embracing this unfolding without rush or frustration, knowing that true change grows slowly from deep roots. As awareness deepens, you might notice that emotions become less overwhelming and more like visitors who come and go. The stillness within you remains untouched by their passing, a sanctuary of peace beyond the swirling waves. This sacred stillness is the foundation upon which a new way of being is built. It is the ground from which freedom blossoms. Freedom from being caught in repetition, and freedom to live with openness and joy. The Zen Master assures that this freedom is not distant or unattainable. It is present here and now, waiting beneath the patterns, ready to be discovered in each breath and every moment of gentle presence. Walking this path means becoming a gentle witness to your own heart, welcoming its storms and calm alike. With love and sincerity, the old loops lose their power, and a radiant clarity arises. In this awakening, life becomes a beautiful flow where emotions are no longer masters, but messengers, guides on the journey to peace. The wind of change may be slow or swift, but it always moves in the direction of freedom. With warm heart and steady mind, the Zen Master invites you to continue this inner exploration, knowing that every mindful breath is a step beyond the cycle and toward a life of gentle awakening and radiant peace. In the tender unfolding of the path toward freedom, compassion emerges as one of the most powerful forces to break the chains of old patterns. Compassion is the gentle heart that softens the hardness caused by suffering, the warmth that melts isolation, and the light that reveals the shared humanity beneath our struggles. It is not merely an emotion, but a transformative practice that opens the heart and heals the mind. When patterns of pain and habit seem unbreakable, it is often because we meet them with resistance or judgment. We may blame ourselves for repeating mistakes or feel weary from the endless loops of suffering. But compassion invites a different way, a way of kindness and understanding toward ourselves and others. This kindness does not deny the difficulty of pain, but embraces it fully, saying, "I am here with you, and you are not alone." Imagine a small child crying after a fall. The child does not need harsh words or impatience, but gentle arms and a soothing voice. In the same tender way, the heart needs compassion to heal the wounds left by old habits. When we become compassionate toward ourselves, we become like that caring parent to our own suffering, offering comfort instead of blame. This inner kindness is the soil from which transformation grows. Without it, efforts to change often falter because they are driven by self-criticism, which only deepens the cycle of pain. Compassion, by contrast, creates a nurturing environment where healing and new patterns can emerge naturally. Buddhism teaches that compassion arises from the deep understanding of suffering, our own and that of all beings. When we recognize that everyone struggles with patterns that cause pain, a sense of connection blooms. The barriers between self and others soften, revealing our shared experience. This realization lights the path away from isolation toward togetherness. Practicing compassion begins with simple mindfulness, noticing when the mind turns harsh or critical, and gently redirecting it towards kindness. It can be as simple as a silent wish. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. These wishes foster warmth and open the heart. As compassion deepens, it naturally extends outward. We become more patient with the struggles of those around us, understanding that they too are walking difficult paths. This compassion does not depend on sympathy or pity, but arises from respect and recognition of the sacredness of each life. In daily life, compassion rewrites the stories we tell ourselves and others. Instead of blaming or condemning, we find the courage to forgive and to accept imperfection. We no longer try to force change through harshness, but invite it with tenderness. The Zen Master teaches that compassion is not weakness but strength, the strength to soften, to embrace, and to heal. It is a quiet power that cannot be seen but deeply felt. Compassion moves us beyond anger, judgment, and fear into the open space of love. This love includes all aspects of ourselves, even the parts we most want to hide or reject. Sometimes, old patterns come from deep wounds or unmet needs. Compassion allows those parts to be seen and cared for, breaking down walls and bringing light into dark corners of the mind. When habit and pain arise, rather than pushing them away, the Zen Master encourages sitting with them patiently, offering kindness as a balm. This presence transforms suffering from a burden into a teacher, revealing paths to freedom. This practice also helps in relationships. As we grow more compassionate within, our interactions reflect this change. Our words become gentler, our listening deeper, and our love more unconditional. In this way, compassion breaks not only individual patterns, but also the cycles of pain that ripple through families and communities. The beauty of compassion is that it cannot be exhausted. The more it is given, the more it grows within. It is like a wellspring that keeps flowing, nourishing the heart and mind continuously. Through meditation and reflection, the heart opens wider. We begin to see beyond surface emotions to the essence of connection that links all beings. This sense of unity dissolves the loneliness that often feeds habitual patterns of fear and grasping. With compassion as a guide, challenges become invitations rather than threats. Difficult emotions and situations are met with patience and grace, allowing new possibilities to emerge. This shift in perception is a gentle revolution inside the heart. It is important to practice compassion, not only when life is calm, but especially when it is difficult. In moments of frustration or sadness, a kind heart can be the anchor that steadies us and prevents us from falling back into old cycles. The Zen Master reminds that compassion is a path walked gently. Each act of kindness toward oneself and others is a step toward breaking the patterns of suffering and awakening to joy. This path is not without its struggles, but those struggles become softer when embraced with a compassionate heart. The hard edges of pain melt into the warmth of understanding, and the mind finds clarity. In this unfolding, the old rigid patterns begin to crumble, replaced by a fluid openness that allows growth and healing. This is the true power of compassion, transforming suffering into love and repetition into renewal. The Zen Master invites you to cultivate this precious quality, knowing that compassion is always available, waiting quietly within your own heart. With patience and courage, let kindness be the light that guides your steps, breaking old patterns and opening the way to freedom and peace. In the journey of awakening and breaking free from harmful patterns, the middle way offers a precious balance that holds the heart gently between extremes. This way is neither harsh self-denial nor heedless indulgence, but a path of harmony and moderation where wisdom and compassion meet. The Zen Master invites us to embrace this path, where life is lived with clarity, calm, and kindness. The middle way arose from the Buddha's own experience. Having tried both the extremes of harsh asceticism and worldly pleasure, he discovered neither brought true peace. Instead, the path that led to awakening lay in walking between these extremes, nurturing the body and mind with care while cultivating insight and compassion. This balance is the heart of the middle way. In our daily lives, harmful patterns often develop from extremes. We might try to control life rigidly out of fear, or give in to every impulse seeking comfort or escape. Both responses, born from imbalance, tend to deepen suffering. The middle way reminds us to find steadiness, to meet life's challenges without being swept away by extremes of emotion or reaction. Imagine a river flowing smoothly between its banks. Too little water, and the river dries. Too much, and it floods. The middle way is like keeping the river flowing gently. Enough water to nourish, but not so much that it overwhelms. This balance creates a fertile space where the mind can rest and grow. Practicing the middle way calls for mindful attention to our needs and limits. It encourages listening deeply to the body when tired or hungry, and honoring these signals with care. At the same time, it asks us to cultivate courage to face discomfort without running away or clinging to distractions. This path is not about rigid rules, but about wise flexibility. It is like being a skilled dancer responding to the changing rhythms of life, moving with ease and grace rather than stiff resistance or chaotic flailing. When harmful patterns emerge, the middle way helps us respond with gentle firmness. Instead of strict self-punishment or indulgent escape, we choose actions that support growth and healing. For example, when stress arises, we might respond with calming breath and kindness rather than harsh criticism or avoidance. The Zen Master teaches that the middle way is a practice of balance in thought, speech, and action. It involves observing our habits honestly, noticing where we are leaning too far in one direction, and gently guiding ourselves back to the center. This balance is also reflected in how we hold our emotions, neither suppressing feelings nor being overwhelmed by them. The middle way encourages holding difficult emotions with mindful acceptance, allowing them to flow through without distortion. In relationships, the middle way fosters respect and understanding. It helps us avoid extremes of control or passivity, supporting open, honest communication that honors the needs of both ourselves and others. The beauty of the middle way is that it frees us from the rigid patterns of black and white thinking. Life is rarely all good or all bad, and this path teaches us to embrace complexity with openness and compassion. Practicing the middle way nurtures resilience. When life brings joy, we savor it fully without clinging. When it brings challenge, we meet it steadily without despair. This steadiness is like the calm at the center of a storm, a deep peace that remains unshaken. This balance also supports deepening mindfulness and compassion. With steadiness, the mind is clear and calm, able to see the true nature of patterns and respond wisely. The heart, held gently between firmness and softness, opens to love and understanding. The Zen Master reminds us that the middle way is not a fixed destination, but a living, breathing path. It requires ongoing practice and kindness to oneself, as the rhythms of life shift and change. It is natural to wobble or lean too far now and then. The path invites gentle return without judgment, like a child learning to walk, falling and rising again with patience and joy. In this way, the middle way transforms the journey of breaking patterns into a dance of harmony. The harshness of struggle softens into the flow of awareness, and the tight grip of habits eases into open possibility. With every mindful breath, the heart learns to balance strength and tenderness, clarity and compassion. This balance is the foundation for lasting freedom and peace. Life lived on the middle way becomes a garden tended with love, where no aspect is crushed or ignored, but all are honored and woven into a whole. The Zen Master encourages embracing this balance gently, knowing that it is not about perfection, but about presence and honest intention. As the path unfolds, harmful patterns lose their hold. The heart discovers a vast space where freedom lives, a place of stillness and movement, light and shadow, strength and softness. In this sacred balance, the soul breathes deeply, and the life of awakening flows naturally, like a stream moving steadily toward the ocean of peace. The middle way is a living truth within you, ready to guide each step with warmth and grace, transforming every moment into a step toward liberation and joy. The Zen Master's teaching on the wheel of samsara and habits is a rich and profound message that speaks to the very heart of our repeated suffering and the way out of it. Samsara is the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, but it is also the cycle of patterns in our everyday lives. Imagine a great wheel spinning without stop, carrying us round and round in the patterns of craving, aversion, and ignorance. This wheel is not just a cosmic reality, but the reality of our minds. Each time we react from old habits, anger, resentment, jealousy, or fear, we spin the wheel faster. These habits are the grooves worn into the mind by countless actions and thoughts repeated over time. The wheel's turning represents the flow of cause and effect, the consequences of our actions binding us to repetitive suffering if we are not aware. The Zen Master explains that understanding samsara means seeing these patterns clearly, not blaming ourselves, but recognizing the natural tendencies of the mind. It is like watching a river's current. We may feel carried along, but with mindfulness and insight, we learn to navigate and even step onto the shore. Habits, like the wheel, become heavier with repetition, but the Buddhist teaching offers hope. The wheel can be stopped. Awareness is the brake that slows the spin. Mindfulness allows us to see the pattern as it arises, giving us the freedom to choose a different response. Breaking samsara means not fighting the patterns with anger or shame, but gently turning the light of understanding upon them. This light reveals the impermanent nature of all things. The patterns may have shaped us, but they do not define us. Like clouds passing across the sky, these patterns come and go. The Zen Master encourages patience, reminding us that stepping off the wheel is a gradual process. Each moment of awareness is a step toward freedom, no matter how small. Even if the wheel spins again, the awareness remains, slowly changing the cycle. In daily life, samsara is felt in emotions that rise and fall like waves, in habits that repeat despite our best intentions. Recognizing these patterns is the first doorway to liberation. The Buddha's teachings hold that by seeing the causes and conditions of our suffering, we can cultivate the causes and conditions for peace. This teaching brings compassion, not only for ourselves, but for all beings caught in samsara. We are all travelers on the same great wheel, each seeking a way to rest, to awaken, to be free. The Zen Master invites a gentle approach. Watch the wheel with kindness, learn its rhythms, and walk the path with steady heart. In this patience and practice, the wheel slows, and in its stillness, freedom is found. Thus, samsara and habits are both the challenge and the gateway, the cycle that binds and the path that leads to awakening. Recognizing this is a turning point, inviting the heart to open and the mind to rest in peace. In the quiet moments of everyday life, the path of liberation unfolds like a gentle river, flowing steadily through the landscape of our heart and mind. Walking the path of freedom is not a distant or grand event, but a daily, simple practice of returning to presence, awareness, and kindness. The Zen Master invites us to honor this journey as a sacred rhythm of small steps that, over time, lead to deep transformation. Liberation is often misunderstood as a sudden, dramatic emancipation from suffering. Yet, true freedom is woven through countless ordinary moments where choice meets awareness. Each breath, each mindful pause, is a thread in this unfolding tapestry. These moments may seem small or even invisible, but they hold the power to break the chains of habit and bring the heart home to peace. Imagine walking through a lush forest path. The way is not always clear or straight, but each step grounds you deeper in the earth. Sometimes the path leads through shadows, sometimes into light. The journey is toward waking up in each moment, fully present, gently aware, and free from the weight of patterns that no longer serve you. The Zen Master teaches that liberation is not about perfection or rushing to escape difficulty. It is about embracing life as it is, with open eyes and open heart. When fierce emotions arise, they can be met with steady breath and calm presence. When old habits call, they can be met with gentle refusal and mindful choice. Walking this path daily requires patience and compassion. Some days the mind may feel clear and still, other days restless and tangled. The heart may swell with joy or shrink with fear. Each experience is part of the unfolding journey. There is no need to judge progress or fall into despair. Every moment of awareness is a quiet victory. In the rhythm of daily life, simple habits become sacred practices. Pausing before speaking, breathing deeply when irritation arises, offering kindness to yourself and others. These small acts are the steps on the path. They create a foundation sturdy enough to support transformation. The Zen Master reminds us that this journey is not walked alone. The echoes of ancient wisdom are companions, and all beings share the desire for peace and freedom. Knowing this, we offer gentle support to ourselves and others, recognizing that each heart struggles with its own entanglements. Mindfulness remains a faithful friend on this journey. It is the candle that lights the dark corners of the mind, revealing habits before they pull us into old cycles. With mindfulness, the reactive mind softens and the responding heart grows stronger. Compassion, too, is a pillar of liberation. It turns the harsh eye of self-criticism into the warm gaze of understanding. When you falter, compassion lifts you. When you succeed, it celebrates gently. This kindness sustains the path and makes it joyful rather than burdensome. With steady practice, the patterns that once held you hostage begin to loosen. The mind finds a quiet center where peace lives naturally. In this space, freedom is no longer a distant dream, but a lived experience. The heart moves with ease, no longer tangled in struggle, but resting in openness. The Zen Master describes this ongoing awakening as a dance between effort and ease, strength and surrender. Liberation is not forceful breaking but gentle unwinding, like a tightly coiled spring slowly releasing its tension. Daily life, with all its simplicity and complexity, becomes the place of transformation. The washing of dishes, the rhythm of walking, the exchanging of a smile. All these moments hold the possibility of awakening when met with presence. This path is not without challenge. Old habits may reappear, old fears resurface. Yet each return to awareness is a fresh beginning, a chance to choose differently. The Zen Master calls us to welcome these moments with courage, seeing them as invitations to deepen freedom rather than obstacles. Gratitude also blossoms on this path. Gratitude for the chance to awaken, for the breath itself, for the small beauties of life. This gratitude cultivates joy and opens the heart wider, making freedom not just an escape from suffering, but a full embrace of life. In this space of presence and gratitude, the life of awakening flows steadily. The mind grows clear, the heart expands, and the spirit finds its home. The Zen Master offers this teaching with warmth and humility, inviting each person to walk this path daily, steadily, and with loving attention. The dance of liberation is always ongoing, never complete, and yet always complete in every moment of presence. With each mindful breath, each choice made from awareness, the heart steps out of old patterns and into the light of freedom. The Zen Master assures that this gentle, steady walking is itself the awakened life. A life where peace is found not as a far-off goal, but as a lived reality breathing through every moment. So, walk this path tenderly, with patience and joy. Trust that each step, no matter how small, leads you closer to your true home, where freedom awaits with open arms and a warm smile. This is the gift of daily liberation, an unfolding, heart-touching journey back to the fullness of being free. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.3% subscribes, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue weaving wisdom into words for you. Now, as we come to the final part of this journey, it is time to gather all the threads of wisdom woven thus far and step fully into freedom. Breaking the bad patterns that have held your heart and mind captive can feel like a mountain too steep or a path too long. But the truth is that freedom is nearer than you think, already present as the very breath you take. The Zen Master invites you to embrace this moment, right here, right now, with an open heart. The patterns of the past may have shaped your story, but they do not have to define your future. Each breath, each step, is an opportunity to lay down what no longer serves and pick up the gentle courage of awakening. Picture those old patterns as a heavy cloak you have worn for years. It may feel familiar, but it weighs you down and hides your light. Now, imagine slowly slipping off that cloak, feeling the fresh air on your skin, the sun warming your face. This is the experience of breaking free, a tender unfolding into your true self. This freedom is not a sudden escape, but a gradual unfolding, like the opening of a flower petal by petal. Sometimes progress feels slow or even invisible, yet each small moment of mindfulness, kindness, and compassion lays the foundation for transformation. These seeds, watered gently by your awareness, will grow into a garden of peace. Remember, the path is not about being perfect or never falling again. It is about returning, again and again, to presence and choice. When old habits arise, greet them with a warm smile and a soft heart. See them as old friends who no longer need to lead the way. Life will continue to bring challenges. This is its nature. But with the wisdom and practices you have gathered, you move forward not as a victim of circumstance, but as a calm traveler who knows the journey well. The storms do not vanish, but your shelter grows stronger. The Zen Master encourages you to carry with you the light of compassion for yourself and all beings. This compassion heals wounds hidden deep within and bridges the gap between self and other. When your heart opens to kindness, the heavy chains of judgment and fear fall away. Mindfulness remains your steadfast companion. It is the gentle lamp lighting your path, whether you walk through shadowy forests or bright meadows. In every moment of awareness, you step off the spinning wheel of samsara and taste the freedom of stillness. This stillness is not empty or cold, but full of life, vast and welcoming. In this space, you discover your true nature, free, radiant, and unbound. This is not a place separate from the world, but the very heart of living in deep connection with all things. The Zen Master gently reminds that freedom is simple and profound. It is found in the rise and fall of your breath, in the quiet moments between thoughts, in the tender pause before action. This freedom is always within reach, waiting patiently for your return. As you move forward, remember that you are not alone. The path of awakening is shared by countless beings who walk with you in spirit, across time and space. The wisdom of the Buddha, the care of the Zen Master, and the love of your own heart accompany every step. Let this final teaching be a blessing on your journey, that the release from old patterns is possible now. Not someday, not somewhere else, but at this very moment. Every breath is a gateway to liberation. every moment a chance to live fully awake. With warm heart and steady mind, carry this gift gently. The path of breaking bad patterns is the path of coming home. To yourself, to life, to peace. And so, the story continues beyond this final word, in every breath you take, in every choice you make. The Zen Master bows with gratitude for your presence and courage, wishing you a gentle journey into freedom and joy. May your heart be light, your steps steady, and your spirit free. This is the gift of awakening, the gift of life, beautifully woven with wisdom. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven to help spread this light to others.